Senator Garcia, it's always good to see you.
Well, thank you for having me, Cambrell. It's always good to see you.
We appreciate you coming in to talk about some of these issues that are important. This special session, why was it called? What do you hope to see accomplished?
Well, I think it was called because the governor sees some items that he felt needed to get done and done in the manner that he wants that didn't get done, and he's called us back. And for some of us, we know we've done the work that needs to be done, and this is basically a do-over, an opportunity to look at some items again that were stopped or delayed, and so that's what this is about.
Well, he obviously feels very strongly about this. He put together about 20 items I think that they're going to go for. And when you have that kind of situation, do you have opportunities to put forward new bills, or is it just a matter of just kind of going over what's already been introduced and working on those items?
No, actually, that's a great question, because people need to understand that this is the governor's call. He decides to do the special session. Only he can put items on the agenda. The only one that really has to be done is one on the sunset bill, which is making sure that some of our state agencies, like the Texas Medical Board, can go past their termination date. All the others are items, quite frankly, that if you got a GOP primary list of things that will really bring out the base for Republican candidates next year, this is the list. So the other 19.
You think it's more political maneuvering than necessity?
Oh, absolutely, from my point of view. But you might ask him. He says, well, no, they need to get the work done. Actually, we got the work done. It just wasn't to his liking.
Well, it's an awful lot of money involved bringing everybody back, isn't it?
Well, just for the senators and the House members to be there it's close to $1 million, and that's just us. It doesn't include the dollars in terms of all the support staff and all the people of the agencies who have to come and testify. Mm-hmm. It doesn't all add up to about $1 million. It really is a lot more than that.
One of the things that was not resolved to the satisfaction of the governor was a bathroom bill, which I know that you were very adamant against even bringing up.
And still am.
That whole process now, your good friend Senator Betancourt was here a couple of weeks ago, and he feels very strongly about the fact that this is about rights. This is about making sure that people can go into a bathroom and not have to be concerned about somebody from the same gender or masquerading as such would be in there. You think that this is a waste of time?
It's a waste of time, and there's already laws in place that if anybody enters the bathroom to commit an assault or do any harm to someone, there's penal laws that can take care of that. Here in Houston, we even have an ordinance that says that you cannot enter the bathroom of another. So I think that all this is made up. They've not been able to name one instance in this state where anything has happened in a public bathroom where someone masquerades as a woman or masquerades as a man, I suppose, to come in and do harm to someone. It's all made up, and to me, it's a waste of taxpayer dollars to be focused on bathrooms instead of classrooms, instead of teachers, instead of health care, infrastructure, the things that people really care about.
It's a different environment now with a much less crowded agenda and in the special session.
Right.
There was a difference of opinion from the Senate and the House that it didn't get traction.
Right.
Are you concerned about that not being the case this time and something passes through?
Well, it depends, because I keep hearing from some colleagues in the House that they're not going to change their position. What they did was limit it to just bathrooms in schools. The Senate version was all public bathrooms. So if the House stays with that position, then we're going to end up in deadlock again. And the real question is that enough for the governor, or is he going to call yet a second special session? Because for the GOP primary voters, he can always say, well, I brought him back, I tried to do it, and it didn't get done. And that still may get him where he needs to be. So it's a $100 million question whether we'll go back if we don't get it done.
Well, Sanctuary Cities was one of those bills that did get done, and you were one of the people who were against that, but it's been in place now. What do you tell your constituents about what they should be most concerned about? I know you're one of the people who still is against that.
Well, I still am. I was in San Antonio just this last week at the court hearing that began in federal court challenging the implementation of SB 4, and that's the racial profiling anti-immigrant bill. As you know, all our major cities, including Houston, El Paso, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, El Paso County have joined the fight against implementation. So it's not in effect yet, and it won't be unless the courts allows it, until September 1st. So what I tell everyone now is to just, just be calm. Don't be afraid. There's nothing going to happen anytime soon. Make sure that they have a plan in case it does, and to just be ready. You call it racial profiling anti-immigrant bill. That's not what it's called. It's about making sure that cities, if they have a federal government coming in and saying you need to hold somebody, that you do so. And there's a lot of people say, well, there's nothing wrong with that, cooperating with the federal government. Well, and there is cooperation. We found, especially during the hearings, that almost all the cities now do cooperate. They honor what's called a detainer, and a detainer is a request by ICE to hold someone, and that's all it is. It's a request. It's not an order. It's not signed by the judge. But what happens is that this bill goes further than just holding someone once they're in jail, once they're arrested. It says you can actually detain someone on the street. So you could be walking down the street, let's say not on the sidewalk, and in Houston there's a violation for not walking on the sidewalk where there's walking on the street where there's no sidewalk provided. So you could be detained. You could be asked questions, and it leads to targeting because, quite frankly, I don't see a way that you could implement this law without racial profiling, because the officer's going to sit there, the law enforcement officer, the campus police in the college, like, well, I need to implement this. I mean, who should I stop, or when would it occur? Yeah. Well, they're going to think about people that are dark, people that are different than them. And in these days, I mean, what does an American look like? Right. I mean, who do you stop? So the challenge is try to get that undone. Right. As opposed to stopping. Well, and the courts, like I said, the hearing was in San Antonio on Monday of this week, and we'll be hearing from that judge soon. And we're very hopeful that they'll find that it is unconstitutional, not just because of the immigrant stops, but more importantly also for the protection of our local elected official, because people don't realize that if a local elected official criticizes, endorses, or advocates against this law, they could be removed from office. They can also be penalized with civil penalties. So there's a lot to it that we may not. So it's a free speech violation. If a local mayor says, well, I really don't like this law and we should be doing something about it, it's possible that they could have a complaint filed and the Attorney General would investigate them and try to remove them from office. Well, it sounds to me like there's going to be a lot to talk about in Austin in this special session. We're going to talk more with you at another time about health care, because that's going to be going on too, and affects us in the state of Texas. Well, it could impact about 7 million people in Texas, right. About 4 million that are, a little over 4 million that are now currently on Medicaid, and about 2.5 that are currently under the Affordable Care Act. Right. That's a lot of people. We're going to talk about that next time I see you, and we'll bring you back after this special session. We'll see what happens, okay? And we'll see how special it was. I know. Okay. Senator Garcia, thank you for being here as always. I always look forward to having you on to talk about what's going on. We're going to have one of your Republican colleagues on before the special session starts as well. Great. Another one. So, hey, just ahead, some visibly raucous